Hello and welcome back to Movie Recap Time. Today, we will be recapping a 2008 science fiction action movie, titled Jumper. But before we start, if you enjoy our recaps, please subscribe as it helps us enormously. Enjoy! David had the supernatural ability to jump. He was a jumper. While he was in high school, he had a crush on Millie. After school, one day, he gave Millie a snow globe. She received the gift happily. But the school bully Mark took the gift from Millie, then teased David in front of the whole school and threw the gift far away on the ice. David walked onto the ice to retrieve the gift. Although Millie tried to persuade him otherwise, he recovered the gift and happily showed Millie, but the ice cracked underneath him, and he fell into the ice. Millie wanted to save him, but she could not. David struggled under ice water. Just as he was about to pass out, he suddenly found himself in the public library. It was like he had teleported into the library. He left the library and went home. His mother left him when he was young, and his father was a delinquent alcoholic. As he entered the house, his father asked why he was dripping with water and requested that he come and clean the water. He ran into his room and locked the door. His father attempted to break into his room, but he disappeared again. He found himself in the library. He realized he had been teleporting. He figured he could use his newfound ability to his advantage. He tried to leave the library, but the door was locked. As he struggled with the door, he appeared on his bed. He decided that if his mother could leave, he could always leave. He took out his savings, and went over to Millie's house to drop off the gift he had brought for her. But before Millie could come outside, he had left. He took a train down to New York and booked a motel for a night. The following day, he thought about how he could use this talent for himself. He climbed a big rock to practice how to jump. He was focusing on a jump but ended up hitting a tree. He went back home and started to read a magazine. He saw the image of the Statue of Liberty and remembered when he went there with his mother. Suddenly, he teleported to the statue. The next day, he visited a bank and asked to use the toilet. He looked at the safe on his way out of the toilet. That night, he took an instrument to break the safe and took a bag to put the money in. He jumped back to the bank and stole all the money in the safe. On Monday, the bank realized they had been robbed. Roland visited the bank claiming he was from the CBI. He asked for the CCTV recording of the safe and also the names of everyone using the bank safe because he was sure the person who stole from them had visited the safe before. 8 years after, David is now 23, and he was wealthy. He permanently resided in London but traveled all over the world daily. On every side of his house, he had posters and pictures of places in the world has to travel to, and each day, he picked a picture and jumped there. Roland searched for jumpers worldwide. He caught them and killed them, claiming they were an abomination to the world because only God should have the ability to be everywhere at any time. After he killed a jumper, he got a call regarding a lead on the bank David stole from. He traveled down to London. When David entered his house, he noticed someone was inside the house, and it was Roland. Roland told him he had been looking for him for 8 years. David asked if he was with the police because if he were with the police, he would need to call a lawyer. Roland told him he wasn't with the police, but he only wanted to ask him how he could rob a bank without using the door. David didn't answer, so he walked away. He tried to enter his room but failed as he wasn't used to using the door. Roland caught him and used a teaser with 1,000 volts of electricity to shock him. David couldn't jump due to the voltage of the electricity. Roland kept torturing him because he hated jumpers. David was able to jump under the wall where Roland's teaser couldn't reach. He packed a lot of money and jumped back to his father's house. When his father heard noises in his room, he told him he thought he was crazy because he always hears noises from David's room, but nothing is in there as David jumps before he could get in the room. He begged David to come back home whenever he wanted to. Before his father could open the door, David jumped out. David visited Millie's house. He met her mother, who was shocked he was still alive. Her mother described her workplace to David, and David went to watch Millie at the bar where she works. He watched her for over 45 minutes and wanted to leave, but Mark saw him. He insisted he was not David. They knew and shouted all over the bar that David was alive. David tried to deny his identity, but when Millie came over, he could no longer deny it. Mark tried to harass Millie and David got angry, and attacked Mark, and they got into a fight. They both jumped into the bank David once stole from. David left Mark there and jumped back to the bar. When he met Millie, he told her he was a banker, and they both decided to go on somewhere Millie had always wanted. They took a flight to Rome. The police arrested Mark. His interrogation was absurd as no one believed his story. Roland got to the police station and asked for permission to interview Mark. The police refused, so he attacked the police. He interrogated Mark, got the details of Millie from Mark, and knew Millie traveled to Rome with David. While in Rome, Millie was suspicious of David's wealth. She told him she knew he failed algebra, so there was no way he would be a banker. David convinced her he wasn't lying to her. In Rome, David and Millie slept together, played games, and saw everywhere. They decided to visit Colosseum, one place Millie had always wanted to visit. They were denied entrance because the Colosseum was closed. They entered through the back door, but they couldn't enter inside the center of the Colosseum. David asked Millie to stay by the door as he would open the door from inside. He jumped inside. When he jumped, he saw another guy Griffin inside the Colosseum and realized the guy was also jumped with Griffin into the cave, but Griffin asked him to return because Millie may no longer be alive. When he went back, he took Millie, but the police arrested him for the death. He was detained and interrogated, but he was saved by his mother, who left him when he was 5. His mother, Mary, went there and gave him the key to open the handcuff and told him to escape. He took Millie to the airport. Millie asked to know everything that was happening, but he refused to tell her, and she entered her plane. He jumped back to Griffin, asked about the paladins, and was told the paladins are like religious fanatics who believe jumpers are evils and would do anything to kill jumpers. Roland visited David's dad. He asked him when last he saw David, and he was informed it was 8 years ago. He asked about David's mother, Mary, and he was told Mary left when David was 5 before Roland left. He killed David's father. With Griffin, he told David everyone around him would die, including Millie. David jumped home to check up on his dad, but his dad was lying on the floor lifeless. He jumped with his dad's body into a hospital, shouting for help. He visited Mark in the police station and asked if Mark had told Roland anything about Millie. Mark replied positively. Trying to save Millie, he jumps to Griffin's cave, begging Griffin to let them work together so he can kill Roland before Millie gets down from the plane in 8 hours. Griffin informed him he had been stalking Roland for 10 years, and Roland was not someone that could just be killed. Griffin jumped away, but David kept stalking him. Griffin realized he had no choice. He allowed David to work with him when they were both in Tokyo. Griffin told him he started jumping at the age of 5 and that his parents were not around. They decided first to save Millie. They jumped to the airport, but Millie had left. Griffin went back to his cave to power up while David went to find Millie. He went to her bar. He was told Millie hadn't been there, but Roland had come to look for him. He jumped into Millie's house. He apologized to her and told her he wasn't a banker, but the money was from the bank. Millie assumed he was a thief and asked him to leave her house. David saw Roland coming upstairs. He showed Millie his jumping skills and jumped with her. They both jumped into Griffin's hideout. Roland got to Millie's room with a machine that showed jump scars. Griffin told David there was a machine that would make them jump and they would soon attack them. Roland jumped into the cave. Griffin attacked him. Griffin sent him back into Millie's house and took away their machine. David apologized to Millie and told her he had always loved her since he was 5 and really liked her. Millie didn't understand. She asked that David take her home. Griffin jumped back to the cave, but Roland dragged Millie to the house back with him. He tied Millie to an electric strap and set a trap for David in case he came in search of Millie. Obsessed with the idea of destroying Roland, Griffin decided to bomb Millie's house with all the paladins and Millie. David insisted he won't let him kill Millie, so they both fought. They kept jumping as they fought, and later, Griffin jumped to an electricity pole, and David left him there to save Millie. When he got to Millie's place, Roland attacked him. He was trapped with an electric cable and tied to Millie. When he gained his power back, he teleported the whole house into the water where he first jumped. All the paladins in the house died except Roland, David, and Millie. He reminded Roland he said he was different and told him he could have dropped him for the sharks. He teleported with Millie to safety and left David at the mountaintop with no means of coming down. He visited Mary, his mother. He met his stepsister. He realized his mother was a paladin. She told him he had his first jump at the age of 5, and as a paladin, she had just 2 choices, either to kill him or leave him, so she went for the latter. She told him she loves him and wished him well. Outside Mary's house was Millie, waiting for her boyfriend. She comforted him as they hugged. Thank you for watching the recap. Please remember to subscribe to our channel so you will get notified when we post the next recap. If you enjoyed the recap, we will have a link to buy this movie in the description. See you next time.